This is the third lecture about applications of linear algebra. This time we're talking about applications to networks. So what do we mean when we say a network? Well, what we're talking about here is a set of points, which are called junctions or nodes, connected by branches, or just arrows if you're looking at a diagram. And the principle here is that the total flow into the network is going to equal the total flow out of the network. And the total flow into each node is going to equal the total flow out of that node. And there's lots of different ways that we can interpret these networks. Here's just a few. One way to think about what a network could represent is as traffic flow. So in this case, the branches would be one-way roads that cars drive down. The nodes would be the intersections between those roads. And then the principle about total flow in equaling total flow out would be interpreted as the total number of cars that enter the network, which could represent a neighborhood or a city and so on, must equal the total number of cars that leave that neighborhood, city, or so on. And then for each intersection, the total number of cars entering that intersection has to equal the total number of cars that leave that intersection. Another way to interpret networks would be as water flow. In this case, the branches are pipes that water flows down. The nodes would be intersections of those pipes. The total amount of water entering the pipe system must equal the total amount of water flowing out, and the total amount of water flowing into any intersection of pipes has to equal the total amount flowing out of those pipes. Another example would be circuits. The branches are wires and current flows down the wires. The nodes are intersections of those wires. The total amount of current entering the circuit must equal the total amount leaving it. Now, many times we're talking about closed circuits, and if that closed circuit has a battery, then another way to think about this is that since there's no flow in or out, if it's a closed system, then there's zero flow in, zero flow out, and so that means that the total rise in voltage from the battery has to equal the total drop in voltage from, say, any resistors in the circuit. And then any intersection of wires, any node, the total amount of current entering that node must equal the total amount leaving it. So let's look at an example. So here we have a network that in this case represents streets in a neighborhood. And we're given some of the values of the amount of cars flowing. So for example, we're told that there's 200 cars flowing into intersection B, there's 75 cars that drive down this road, and 50 cars that drive down this road. But all of the other numbers of traffic amounts are unknown. So what can we say about the traffic flow patterns in this neighborhood? Well, we're going to, no surprise here, set up a system of linear equations, and we're going to get one equation for each intersection, and then one more equation for the entire network. And each of those equations has the form flow in equals flow out. Again, using that principle that the flow into a node or into the network has to equal the flow out of that node or out of the network. So let's look at node A. The flow in is x1 plus x4, and the flow out is 75 plus 50. And so that gives us an equation, x1 plus x4 equals 50 plus 75. For node B, the flow in is this 200, and the flow out is x1 plus x2. For node C, the flow in is x2 plus 75, and the flow out is x3. For node D, the flow in is 50 plus x3, and the flow out is x5. And then finally, for the entire network, the flow in is 200 plus x4, and the flow out is x5. So that gives us 5 equations, one for each node, and then one more for the network. And we had 5 variables in our diagram initially. Now we'll need to write those in our standard form, so we take all of the variables and move those to the left-hand side, and all of the constants, keep those on the right-hand side. Now we're going to set up our augmented matrix and row reduce. Here's the augmented matrix. Note that we had 5 equations, so we have 5 rows. We have 5 variables, so we have 6 columns. And finally, we row reduce that augmented matrix, and we get this solution. So we have one free variable. x5 is going to be a free variable, and now we'll write our solution in equation form. So here's our solution. x1 equals negative x5 plus 325, x2 equals x5 minus 125, x3 equals x5 minus 50, x4 equals x5 minus 200, and x5 is free. Now, x5 is a free variable, but that doesn't mean that x5 can equal absolutely anything. All of these flow values have to be positive. It doesn't make sense to have negative cars driving down a street. And so, since x1 has to be positive, the biggest x5 can be is 325. If x5 is any bigger than 325, that would make x1 negative. So this would tell me that x5 has to be less than or equal to 325. And if I skip down to x4, since x4 has to be positive, x5 has to at least be 200. If x5 is any less than 200, then x5 minus 200 will be negative. And so this tells me that x5 has to be greater than or equal to 200. And so I can't nail down exactly what the solution here is. There are many possible solutions, but in particular we have a restriction on what the solutions could be, that x5 has to be between 200 and 325. So here are some things to keep in mind when you're using linear algebra to analyze network flow. As we mentioned, we're going to have one variable for each unknown branch, and you're going to have one equation for each node and one more equation for the entire network. Now, this system may not be homogeneous. In the system that we just talked about, that wasn't a homogeneous system, and so it may not have a solution. But if the system is consistent, what we want to do is try to find solution or solutions where all of the flow values are positive, and that can put restrictions on what the values of certain variables can be.